FouseyTube, a man who calls himself the Tupac of YouTube. Well, I say it's time to do the same thing to his career like the actual Tupac. Not kill him. No. But I think it's time that we destroy what FouseyTube has, and then let him come back a couple times with a couple of albums that came out of nowhere, seeming though he was supposed to be a dead-ass channel, but for some reason still keeps making videos. And I'm not actively advocating destroying his YouTube as in false flagging or anything like that, but more of letting people finally realize what this scumbag is. For those of you who might not know, Fousey is a man who grew and became famous for exploiting people, for pranking, and fake social experiments. And then when it comes out that people are starting to realize that all of this is fake, he quickly abandons ship and then tries to promote positivity, like vlogging and trying to bring a better day to people's lives. But not realizing that he built his career and success off of manipulating, exploiting, and fucking lying to people. And now not only that is that it's not only on YouTube, it's on all of his social media profiles. People believe that this is genuine. I talk to people at work who have mentioned videos produced by this asshole and say, oh my god, isn't this scary or isn't this great? And I'm like, you realize this is a person who has exploited everything he could do because he had power to gain or money to gain from it. And now on the other end of the spectrum, we have a clown. A man who is actively denying the fame that is being thrusted at him. The man who could easily become the next million subscribed channel if he were to actually seek out the opportunity. Now we are in the process of waiting to see if Colossal is Crazy's video will be reinstated or will actually result in a lawsuit. And I've got to say, for my own personal sake and my own personal opinion, we need this to turn into a lawsuit. And now while I understand that neither party may want this to turn into a lawsuit, I say for the sake of the community, this needs to become the next big lawsuit. This needs to be the defining moment in fair use from person to person, a peer-to-peer claim that is actually going to help either benefit or destroy many people and draw very clear lines in the sand legally. Where does fair use stand? And if you haven't seen H3H3's video talking about how to fight back on a copyright stream or a DMCA claim, you need to understand that not only is that section when you're filing back a claim against you or a strike being put against you, there is a lot of legal terms being put in there. But one of the biggest problems that is not understood there is fair use. When you're fighting back with somebody, you say, oh, this video is in fair use. Well, what does that mean? We have nothing to cite here, with the exception being the actual definition of fair use itself. We don't have much government actually showing what fair use qualifies as. What is a definitive answer to what fair use is? The amount of cases that are being held in fair use are generally trials that are being held from companies to persons or companies to companies. We have no incidents of people-to-people incidents. You know, we need to start writing out the legislation to understand what is the definition of fair use when it comes to a person, when it comes to a company, when it comes to a corporation, an organization, a trademark. There needs to be clear lines in the sand drawn, and I think this could be a great moment that we could take this and turn this into a great thing. Now, I understand significantly if neither FouseyTube or Colossal want to actually bring this into a lawsuit. But I think that for the sake of this is one of the biggest things that FUPA could actually interact with, is that it's an organization, the Fair Use Protection Agency. We actually need this to become an actual lawsuit, in my opinion, so that we can actually have an organization dedicating to help figure out who's in the right and who's in the wrong. Because not only would FUPA be a big influence of that, FUPA could be a big actual deciding factor in many different cases. Because if there's a lawsuit that's held in, just for the sake of example, state of California about this fair use case, when further trials happen, this can be cited in other trials. We can cite exactly this lawsuit that would be held, and we can figure out who would be in the right and who would be in the wrong. And not only that, is that FUPA would get power because it would be able to help people with their disputes. YouTube would finally have clear standing and understanding of where the law sits within certain regions, and then the end user could actually educate themselves and benefit in knowing how to protect themselves properly and legally. Now, some of this is just speculation. Some of this is just me being angry. Some of this is just being thinking about what should be done, what is fair, what is properly deserved of people. And I gotta say, I think everybody's a little bit wrong. I don't like any party here except for because I know that Colossal is a good guy. But here's the difference is that Colossal's video was brash. It was harsh. And one of the biggest problems about Colossal's video, that as much as I hate to admit it, I believe is actually a valid point, is that even though his video is criticism, the video can be construed as being damaging to the person's profit. One of the biggest problems with slander and libel cases is that by making something like this, making this video, it can be construed as damaging to a person's source of income. The big example of this being the Kanye West versus Taylor Swift. Although I don't remember hearing this ever going to trial, the biggest problem is that, oh yeah, we have a person saying that, oh, FouseyTube's a fat piece of shit. Well, FouseyTube finds out that, oh, instead of this month where I was projected to make my usual $200,000, I only made $170,000. And right there, that could be a lawsuit in and of itself. So I don't like it because I think it's a bunch of bullshit, but theoretically, Colossal, if being able to be proved in some way, Colossal is in the wrong here, in my opinion. And where FouseyTube is in the wrong is that this is a very clear and obvious abuse of the DMCA system, is that the video within 30 seconds of being uploaded, not like, oh, it took a little while or it took a couple days, within the first day, this video was stricken down as being an unfair use. You know, like, it's not fair use, this is violating a terms of service, or this is in violation of some sort of capacity. So now we have a case where an asshole decided to track down and wait until he could destroy the criticism being made against him by throwing a copyright claim on the video and then waiting until the last day. Now, one of the big issues in insurance claim is that if a company shows malicious acts in a lawsuit with like an end user, and they do something like this, they can actually end up paying a lot more money than the initial lawsuit says, because if I'm not mistaken, it's called something along the lines of, it's called bad faith. When a company acts in bad faith to maliciously jerk somebody around in a lawsuit, that the lawyer or the judge will usually make a motion to say that the company is acting in bad faith and actively waiting out as long as they can to attempt to, charge up the other party's lawyer fees as much as possible to keep this lawsuit going as long as physically possible. And this is a clear-cut example of that FouseyTube waited 30 days before deciding to strike down his video, initially doing it within the first day of the video being live. And now we're seeing that another strike has been sent out, and now we're waiting to see if this is actually going to turn into a lawsuit or if the video is going to be released. My opinion is that it's going to be released because FouseyTube is, in my opinion, this is what I predict is going to happen. He's going to release the video and never mention it again, and this is going to be a win in some people's eyes. But in my opinion, this needs to go to trial. There needs to be this precedent being set. With all this being said and done, I understand one fundamental problem about this is that this is a lawsuit we're talking about here, and a lawsuit is never a small thing. What happens if Colossal goes to, in a legal battle against FouseyTube and he loses, and he has to end up paying a ton of money? What happens then? This person's life is now destroyed because of a lawsuit, because of some bullshit defamatory thing he might have said. Theoretically, not saying that these are defamatory statements. I am not a lawyer, I am not a legal expert, but I'm just putting my opinion out there. And I understand if FouseyTube isn't going to go and actively attempt to legally sue somebody, because that would only damage his career, and therefore could be a bigger case with him. He could use that as ammunition, or he could just straight up damage himself. So I understand that if FouseyTube, as much as I'd love to see this asshole go up and, go up to trial and go up to the stand and, try to prove he's not an asshole, I don't see a possible scenario where he benefits from that. Which is why I'm predicting that he's just going to release the videos, because I don't really see a benefit in FouseyTube's side at all. And it's super annoying, because if we could make a way for him to benefit off of this, we would create a lawsuit that is actually one that draws a line in the sand, like I've said a million times. But here's the problem is, I don't think any of us want us to let there be a situation where FouseyTube can benefit from this, because this guy is such a scummy earthworm who, as Steven Stuptic says, and has been, this was a really big thing, in the midst of drama, in the midst of being hated, in the midst of being a fake, like fighting with rice scum, trying to start drama, trying to fight against other people and saying, oh, I'm just doing it because of love, even though he's sending hate, used a child who is dying of brain cancer, whom you can't fathom that. This individual, FouseyTube, He bought a plane ticket to go and see a person who really wanted to see him. While in and of itself is a great act, but during the most inopportune time, which made it seem like, oh, I'm getting in trouble. Let me go and offset the blame by saying I am such a great guy that I paid out of pocket to go fly to see this one kid. Now, I hope that kid got a great experience out of that. I hope to God that that kid has lived his life, meet one of his favorite stars, meet one of the favorite people he loves to, to watch every day. But at the end of the day, it was really just a shield. And it's a horrible thing to say, and I hate it. I hate that a child was used as a shield. It's like when a politician comes up and says, well, we can't legalize drugs, think of the children. As if some shield from having a real conversation, a real argument about the human indecency, the moral indecency that was used of saying, I'm gonna use somebody to help make people stop hating me, make me seem like the good guy. I'm dead serious when I say this. How does FouseyTube sleep at night, knowing that he could do things like this and get away with it? How does he think that anyone fell for the rice gum fight with him? How does he live with knowing that he faked social experiments, fake pranks? I'm okay with the fake pranks. I'm not okay with the social experiments, because social experiments in and of themselves are meant to be something. But faking those is unholy, ungodly, and I am not even a religious man. I wouldn't be able to sleep with myself at night if I sold out my friend for money. You think this person's going to be able to live the rest of his life saying, oh, I did a good thing? Well, there's enough money that he might think that, but this is not a deserved man. I'm getting emotional here. I want to tone it down a bit, and I really do apologize because I did want this to be a lot less emotional. But this is the lawsuit we need. I think it would be one of the greatest achievements, and it would be amazing if we could get a lawyer like, Ryan Morris, or, the video game attorney, if I'm not mistaken, or we can get, God, I'm forgetting the other guy's name, I'm so sorry. I'll have a link to his Twitter in the description if you are interested. But I think it would be great for these people to take up a crowning lawsuit like this, decide the fate of it, and be able to have their own legal mark saying, I was one of the persons that founded this precedent, essentially. Having FUPA being able to be an intermediary for these types of problems, to help further avoid issues where people are just threatening people with lawsuits. FUPA could be a great intermediary. And not only that, is one of the bigger things that I think that YouTube would benefit from, which is knowing where the line is. Knowing that, okay, this is what we need to do to cover our ass. Because a fair use lawsuit, while granted is not YouTube's problem, I'm more than willing to bet is a significant part of their legal troubles. Like, when their DMCA claims are being sent or their copyright strikes are being sent, I'm willing to bet a good percentage, like I would gander to say over 20%, is due to fair use issues. People having fair use within their rights, but not actually being represented properly. And if there was an organization that knew where the line was drawn, if there was an organization that knew where the actual legal term was and they could help them out was, and if there were people who were educated enough to help one another out when these issues arise, I think we would see a greater community arisen from this. Because as much as I hate to say it again, YouTube's not going anywhere. It's going to keep growing and growing and growing. And we need to be able to protect ourselves as end users, as businesses, as organizations, with trademarks, with fair use cases. We need to know how to protect ourselves. There is millions of dollars on the line every year through legal troubles, through lawsuits. I would gander to say billions of dollars against YouTube if they were not complying with every legal necessity that they have, which exactly was covered in H3H3's video. Again, link will be in the description for that. Now, guys, I love all of you. I hope to God you'll go out there and support Colossal. Go donate to that little GoFundMe that Pyrocynical started, because I think that was a bad choice, in all honesty. I really don't like Pyrocynical starting that, because it makes Colossal seem like a charity case. And that being said, though, I encourage you to go donate if you have the funds available, because I think him recovering those funds and putting it towards FUPA and possibly leading this into a big lawsuit would be a great thing for everybody. I understand everybody's not comfortable with that. Lawsuits are scary. They are very scary. But I think we need it. I love all you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.